Hi, and welcome to Anime with Annie. In this video today, I'll be reviewing My Hero Academia anime series overall. But before we get into it, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any updates from us. Let's get started. Even more so if the show had issues a sizable and vocal fanbase, attacking a show negatively is typically a very difficult endeavor. On the less favorable side, since you folks will create a little havoc in the comments section if your review is different from mine, I will consider myself in danger as soon as I post this video, lol. The show in question is incredibly undeserving of the acclaim it has received thus far, but in this particular case, I reason that taking the risk could be worth the bother. Boku no Pico Academia is another typical shonen about strong kids acting strong. In its attempt to be a little different, it ultimately fails due to its own weight. The plot takes place in an alternate reality where 80% of people have abilities, called quirks, and evil is out of control. In recent years, a number of heroes have emerged to defend society against these criminals and bring about peace among the populace. Midoriya Izuku, our protagonist, is a shy 14-year-old boy who has wanted to be a hero since he was a young child. Unfortunately for him, he does not fit into the vast majority because he has no unique quirk, which is why many around him frequently make fun of him and treat him with contempt. When he is conveniently subordinated to All Might, the greatest hero of all time, all of this comes to an end. After going through a rigorous training regimen for a good 10 months and developing a unique quirk, he is eventually able to enroll in the Hero Academy, with other overpowering youths in order to develop his newly created power and ultimately become eligible to be a true hero, fulfilling his ambitions. However, this is merely an elevated way of putting things. Around this point, I observe that the narrative frequently struggles to strike a balance between handling this plot in a serious or a not-so-serious manner, which compensates for some fairly difficult transitions later on when these series arcs roll around. In any case, it's not the story's premise that bothers me. Rather, it's how they handled certain situations. I really wanted to see the plot take a bit more serious turn or perhaps put a little more emphasis on how society might change as a result of suddenly being granted these strange superpowers. Nevertheless, given that this is a shonen, we ultimately adopted a more shonen-like approach as we followed Deku and his pals through their numerous difficulties. Unfortunately, it ultimately falls short when measured against other series of the same genre, such as One Punch Man from a year ago. Action and humor, as you would anticipate from a shonen series, receive a significant amount of time and attention, while other genres are put on the back burner. Due to the peculiar structure of the quirks and the fact that there are almost no restrictions on what one can and cannot do, the action scenes are typically handled reasonably well, which results in some intriguing situations. The animation is as consistent as you might imagine, with bones being bones. The comedy, on the other hand, is quite mediocre and frequently just ends up being a total dud. And if it amazingly turns out to be even slightly amusing, you can bet that they will recycle the same joke 5 times and spread it thin. The joke that All Might is anorexic is a wonderful illustration of this. The characters aren't portrayed very well in this phase as they are in most other shonen, which significantly contributes to the series' deterioration. However, given the genre at hand, this isn't something I should wholly fault it for. However, Boku no Hero Academia blows this opportunity, which is really important. Do you know what distinguishes the best shonen from another? They actually have likable main characters. Thus, we arrive at Midoriya Izuku, also known as Deku. Because Deku is the story's protagonist, it goes without saying that he lacks a unique characteristic, and has spent his entire life being despised by his classmates. Given that at one point he gets laughed at by everyone in his class, even with the teacher present and everything, the amount of victimization they offer this character may get really overwhelming at times. It often just bothers me to watch him because they went all out to make him the ideal underdog. He is weak, unable to defend himself, and awkward around girls. This all changes though when he unexpectedly crosses paths with his favorite and most powerful superhero ever, and is taken under his wing. After that, a piece of her hair is fed to him, giving him abilities. Hooray! I sincerely believe that things couldn't get much worse, yet they have. Deku's psychotic childhood pal, Bakugo Karazuki, is also his fiercest bully and a potential rival in the future. Kachen normally serves as a vehicle through which Deku is victimized throughout the narrative, but in this instance, he is utterly insane. Deku makes several allusions throughout the series to how he strayed from the path and acquired his quirk, but numerous flashbacks make it abundantly evident how arrogant a psychopath he was even as a young child. Really, there aren't any excuses for this guy. He is a self-absorbed crock who strives to be the best at everything for incredibly base and self-serving motives. This is the extent of his character. There are a few other main characters as well, but they didn't give me anything to talk about either, even though they were underused or just not that great. Deku looks up to All Might, who is also his mentor and possibly anorexic. He typically disposes the bad guys in a flash and occasionally speaks semi-inspirational lines throughout the series, but up until the 2 final episodes, he is largely ignored. Uraku is quite cute, but his terrible fear of girls causes Deku to have panic episodes whenever she converses with him. The name of the armored man escapes me, but he seems like a really amazing dude. The adversary's objectives are never discussed, so we are just left with our imaginations. Boku no Hero's art isn't in any way subpar, rather it's just incredibly ugly. It has a pretty cartoonish aesthetic in a sort of distinctive sense, but it still manages to look bad. When it comes to the backdrops, this problem is almost non-existent, but it becomes quite apparent when I spend too much time staring at the character designs. For some reason, the design of Medora makes me think of diarrhea. It should come as no surprise that Bones consistently produces some of the best animation with each new season. The fights are pretty enjoyable to watch because they heat up throughout the dramatic parts of the program. With the exception of the main theme and then another track whose timing was impeccable every time to heighten the sense of dread once the adversaries appeared, most of the OST tracks were invisible. Although there were several performances that I found unpleasant, I really liked the ending and the opening tune. The voice acting was also good overall. Your level of shonen fandom will mostly determine how much you appreciate the show. If you go in thinking it would be terrible, you might be pleasantly surprised, like I was when the second half came. It has terrible humor, which is usually a mistake and can easily destroy a series for me. For this first several episodes, that was definitely the case, but ultimately I simply tried to ignore it. I can't recall the last occasion I was this amused while viewing a seasonal anime, but the show's final 3 to 4 episodes are where things really go crazy. Basically, if you're a lover of shonen anime looking for some silly fun, you'll probably love it. But if you're doubtful at first, try to get through the first few episodes, because the show improves as it goes on. In summary, I don't believe Boku no Hero Academia is a particularly poor series. Sure, it has its share of issues here and there, but what determines my ranking is how it compares to other shows in the same genre, whether it be typical shonen or the example I used before, One Punch Man. With every character in the program being either incredibly unlikable and obnoxious or just horrible, it has a story with some potential but a pretty average and slightly disappointing execution. It's transitions somewhat awkwardly, since it sometimes takes itself too seriously and other times not seriously enough. If you enjoy the shonen series, I would advise you to take Boku no Hero with a grain of salt, so that you don't enter with the expectation that your previous finished series was FMA and wind up upsetting the bar too high. However, if you're a laid-back individual seeking some silly fun this season, this is undoubtedly your best bet. Overall, it's not terrible, but it's also not great. Specifically, it falls short of the expectations raised by the community. And that concludes my review of My Hero Academia. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, Anime with Annie, for more such exciting anime content and reviews. And please leave comments about what you thought of today's video. And remember, have an Annie-mazing day.